Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles, the elders, and salutations to you, sincere brothers, teaching in truth and in sincerity. This lesson will be entitled The Recipient of the Curses, Jacob or Esau. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Right. When you go into the origin of the term curses, or the word curse, it means anger. All right. So if we broke these laws, statutes, and commandments, all right, the Most High's anger would overtake us within a process of time. Okay. The Israelites consist of so-called Negroes, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans. All right. You are the house of Israel if you can receive this within the spirit, as well as these curses, all right, at this time frame applies to us. All right. These curses are being exercised on us within Esau's blessing. Okay. Now we understand through prophecy that we are at the end of the end. And these curses are uplifting because this is the will of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. And once we are established in Yahushua's kingdom, which is also called the kingdom of heaven, all right, these curses will be applied and exercised on Esau. Deuteronomy 28:19. Curse shalt thou be when thou comest in, and curse shalt thou be when thou goest out. Right. So when we are born, we are afflicted by the curses up until we perish. All right. These are the obligations and consequences for breaking our end of the agreement. All right. So let's get a current event and see who is who, Jacob or Esau, as well as Esau. Okay, are you so-called white people? You're not white. More so, you're red. All right. And according to biblical doctrine, your lineage goes back to Esau. If you're not familiar with this guy, Charles Rogers, he died not too long ago. All right. Now, Charles Rogers was an outstanding football player in high school as well as college. And according to 2018, he had a net worth of $100,000, meaning that everything he had came to a grand total of $100,000. Okay. And it states, how much is Charles Rogers worth? All right, so Charles Rogers is an American former professional football player who has a net worth of $100,000, and this was in 2018. Charles Rogers was born in Saginaw, Michigan in May 1981. Rogers was a wide receiver who was a USA Today High School All-American at Saginaw High School. He played for the Michigan State Spartans, where he was first team All-Big Ten in 2001 and 2002. In 2012, Rogers was an unanimous All-American and won the Fred Biletnikoff Salakia. Fred Bill. You know what? Fuck it. He was an unanimous All-American and won the Fred Biletnikoff Award and the Paul Warfield Trophy. He also set the NCAA record for consecutive games with a touchdown reception at 13. Rogers was drafted at the number 2 pick in 2003 NFL draft by the Detroit Lions. He played for the Lions from 2003 to 2005. He was suspended during the 2005 season for his third violation of the NFL's substance abuse policy and was obligated to return $10 million of the $14.2 million Detroit gave him in bonuses. In 2008, Rogers was arrested and charged with assault and battery of his girlfriend. He was ordered to return $6.1 million of his signing bonus to the Lions by a judge in 2010. Okay. And of course, my source is celebritynetworth.com. I think I had a video as well. Let me see if I can find it.
You know who really loves...
All right, my source is NBC2 News, and this video is entitled NBC2 Exclusive, What Happened to Football Great Charles Rogers.
Loves fresh food, salad lovers, brown baggers, bakers, and...
Injury, drug addiction, and failure, all part of the downward spiral for Charles Rogers, a once prominent college football player.
He scored 2 touchdowns in his first NFL game, made millions of dollars, and now Rogers works at an auto shop in Fort Myers. NBC2's Angelo Caruso talked with him about he hopes to rebuild his life here.
And with that sigh, the heart...
You can see the pain and agony, and I'm pretty positive within the spirit that this Israelite had a humble beginning, okay? More so, he came from a bad situation. The Most High gave him a raw talent to play football. He received some millions, and, you know, he lost those millions. Why? Because the curses, all right, are signs and wonders regarding the nation of Israel. This is the reason why, you know, you have a Jake such as Terrell Owens to receive up to $80 million. And then at this time frame, have a net worth less than $500,000, or such as R. Kelly. At one time, he had a net worth of $150 to $180 million. And at this time frame, it's lower than $5 million. Okay. Why? Because it's the curses. The curses, the curses, the curses. And like I said before, the curse term goes into anger. This is the anger of the Most High, which would be called his indignation, which means righteous anger.
Our trip down memory lane begins, reliving frustrations and failures of a career that could have been, but never was.
You got your children. They read about you. It's a tough life. It's just a tough life to live.
Charles Rogers was once considered the best player in all of college football.
I'm Charles Rogers. I had 68 catches and 13 touchdowns.
And now, you'd be hard-pressed to even recognize him.
Sometimes I look myself in the mirror and be like, yo, what happened?
And this is the aftermath of, abuse of alcohol as well as drugs. I think he was hooked on a drug called Vicodin, So this is the aftermath.
He broke records at Michigan State in just 2 years that still stand this very day, including an unbelievable catch that helped earn him the second overall selection by the Lions in the 2003 NFL Draft.
I got up at 5:30 every morning and bust my ass. I wanted it. Because at the time, I had 2 kids in high school, then I had another one right after high school. So I was on the grind. I was hungry. I was like a wolf.
But Rodgers was bit by the injury bug. He broke his collarbone twice in his first 2 seasons and saw a pro career fizzle out thanks to a painkiller addiction paired with regular use of marijuana. He was out of the NFL before he hit 25 and labeled a bust, the hurtful word that's followed him the rest of his life.
It put me in a depression. That media put me in a depression, man.
Esau's
He
media.
lost all of his money, his friends, and heartbreakingly, even his family. To add insult to injury, his player profile on NFL.com continues to list him as dead. But childhood friend Mel Washington lent him a hand out of the grave. Washington owns Uptown Motors right here in Fort Myers and offered Rodgers a job. No questions asked.
It gave me hope. It gave me freedom. It gave me a breath of fresh air.
Rodgers has been GM at Uptown Motors since January and admittedly didn't know much about cars when he started. His passion resides in recruiting and is taking baby steps to follow that dream.
I really do feel that I can teach a kid something.
But the word bust still lingers. Now he shows that same fight and heart that got him through hell and back.
Get to the bus first, then call it a bus. I mean, how many people been a number 2 draft pick? Bro, I got there. I did that. I earned that, period. So it's just the next chapter in life. And I'm trying to find this next chapter.
Charles has expressed an interest in helping out at local high school.
And of course, this was 2 years ago. All right. And obviously that fall from being at the pinnacle of Esau's system was just too long and hard for him to just bounce back. All right. Okay, according to Bleacher Report.com, all right, this article is entitled "The 50 Worst Draft Flops in Sports History." And this was by Asher Chauncey, July 25th, 2011. All right. So when we get to number 40, you have Charles Rodgers, wide receiver, Detroit Lions, number 2, overall 2003. A very talented wide receiver who had the misfortune to be drafted by the snake-bitten Detroit Lions. Oh, and the misfortune of smoking so much marijuana that a judge ordered him to return most of his signing bonus. All right? Now let's go down to 39. Danny Ferry. He played the position as a forward center for Los Angeles Clippers, number 2 in the draft pick in 1989. He was a second overall pick in 89. Danny Ferry had a long NBA career spent not starting and not averaging very many points, rebounds, or anything else per game. This was the beginning of a white guy's or Salakia. Well, you know what? Let me read it like that. This was the beginning of a white guys from Duke backlash as Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, and J.J. Redick have all gone from NCAA superstars to NBA role players and bench warmers. Now, this is Danny Ferry, right? So he was considered as a NBA bust, as well as Charles Rogers, which was the opposite, because when you talk about the latter, such as Charles Rogers, he was a great player, okay? He was just injury prone. This man just fucking sucked. But when we check his net worth at this time frame, Danny Ferry net worth, according to CelebrityNetWorth.com, is $17 million. All right. Danny Ferry is a retired American professional basketball player and current NBA general manager who has a net worth of $17 million. Now you see how Charles Rogers, basically, when he was actually terminated from the league, not only he had to pay money back, but he fell in a Great Depression, all right, which led to ongoing drug and alcohol abuse. But Danny Ferry retired from the NBA, all right, and at this time frame, he has a net worth of $17 million, and he was considered a bust as well. Now you can see that these curses doesn't apply to Esau like they apply to Jake. This is proof. All right. I'm gonna jump down. I'm not gonna read all this bullshit, but it states Ferry played internationally with the United States men's national basketball team, earning a silver medal at the Summer Universiade in 1987 in Zagreb. After his retirement, he went on to work in several league front offices, including a stint as general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He and the team split paths in 2010, and he landed a role with the Spurs before becoming the Atlanta Hawks president of basketball operations and GM in 2012. Ferry made headlines in June of 2014 for reading an offensive comment out loud that was penned in a scouting report. Ferry subsequently took an indefinite leave of absence from your organization. Okay, but that goes to show you that according to Bleacher Report.com, and this is a legitimate website, that you have two busts, which Esau considers, right? However, Charles Rogers' net worth, okay, had dwindled down to $100,000, you know, at the time frame of 2018. And you have this Edomite such as Danny Ferry, who has a net worth of $17 million. Why is that? It's not because Jake is dumb and ignorant. You know, in certain cases, that those terms do apply, but mainly Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power. Because at this time frame, Moses was the mediator, and he was proclaiming what and what not to do to our nation, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And here's a curse, which solidifies this lesson. Curse shalt thou be when thou comest in, and curse shalt thou be when thou goest out. So look at the last state of Charles Rogers. You know, look how bad he looked. He had lost weight. And you can see that he was depressed, and he was just going through tribulations and agony. Now, I'm willing to bet if Ferry died, he would still have the status of being a millionaire. Salakia, he will still have the status of being a millionaire. All right. Let's jump down to another key point. Last precept as well. Moreover, all these curses, remember the term curse goes into the origin of anger, shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. Pursue, all right, meaning to follow us and overtake thee, which they have done, till thou be destroyed. And that's the purpose of the curses. Ultimately to destroy us, all right, in a form of various punishments. Because thou hearkenest, didn't listen, not unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandment and his statutes, which he command thee. So this is the reason why these things happen to our nation, because we broke our end of the agreement, and they shall be upon thee for a sign. And when you go into that term sign in the Hebrew, one definition means a distinguished mark as well as proof. What's the mark? What's the proof that we are the Israelites? And for a wonder upon thy seed forever. And when you go into that term wonder, according to Strong's H4159, pronounced as mawapath, and it means as a special display of the Most High's power, all right, such as us being a great nation, a strong nation, okay, a nation of powers, all right. And what happened? We went through slavery. We were scattered. Okay, we lost our land. All right, our wife or our wives have evil minds against us, as well as our fellow brethren. Okay, these are the wonders that has happened to the nation of Israel, that are happening to our nation, but at the same time frame, through the will of the Most High, our nation still exists. There was another point too I wanted to make. As well as a sign token of future events. All right. So at the same time frame, the balance of the curses are that they prove we are who we say we are. Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. Shalom.